Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Gradcracker Webinar, where we are joined by global pioneering healthcare company Roche. We're going to be getting to know all about Roche and their opportunities for placement students and graduates in various areas of their business. We'll also get to hear hints and tips from our panel about how to succeed in the recruitment process and what it's really like to work at Roche. Right now, Roche have a couple of graduate roles in their regulatory and product management groups open to applications on their Gradcracker Company Hub, with more graduate roles to come, and their placement opportunities will be opening in October. So make sure you apply and follow them to be alerted to upcoming roles. So to get things started, we're going to come over and meet Juliana, the early careers partner at Roche. So hi, Juliana. Could you start by giving us an overview of your role at the business?
Sure. So thank you so much for the invitation. We're really happy to be here. So my name is Juliana. I'm part of a global team called Early in Career, in which basically what we want is that everyone that starts their career at Roche has a great experience, that they're able to learn, that they're able to understand what our company does, that they are linked to our purpose of saving patients and helping them through disease, and as well that they're able to stay with us and grow eventually as leaders in our company. I'm based in Spain. However, I'm currently based in Colombia. So hi from Colombia.
Yes, we have a very international panel today because Ruby's also in Switzerland. So yeah, people are zooming in from everywhere. Brilliant. Thank you, Juliana, for that introduction. And if you could describe Roche in 60 seconds, what would you say?
Great. So first, Roche is a great company to work for, because one of the things that really makes us feel and be engaged with our company is that we work to help patients. So our purpose is doing now what patients need next. What does this mean? That really our day-to-day, no matter division, country, location, or business, we really are working towards innovation, being really courageous in bringing up science that can help patients from diagnostics and treatment. So that means that we are in the whole journey of a patient, really being sure that we prevent, that we have diagnostics, and that as well we have treatments and follow up on their disease to be sure that they're having a better quality of life. We are the largest biotech company in the world. As well, we are #1 in vitro diagnostics and tissue-based cancer diagnostics. And that really makes us a big player in making sure that healthcare is something that is available to everyone in the world, as we have more than 150 offices and we are more than 100,000 employees worldwide. So access and innovation is what we do every day.
Fantastic. That's a brilliant overview, Juliana. And I think one of the things about Roche is it is a huge organization, and some of the things that you do are just fascinating, and you get involved, you know, from the pharmaceuticals to the diagnostics and testing element of it as well. There's just so many different pathways for a student, which is what we're going to go on to next. So can you tell us a little bit about the programs that you offer for students and graduates?
Sure. So just to give you a little bit of numbers, we're going to have around 37 open roles for industrial placements. That basically mean that there can be both part of our pharma division or diagnostic division. It is important to mention that pharma is based in Welling City and diagnostics in Burgess Hill. So these industrial placements have many different areas that they could work with, specifically clinical trials and operations. This is a big site that we have in Welling, in regulatory, in informatics, bioanalytics, data science, and as well in everything around digital. So this means in general that the audiences that we're targeting are all from STEM backgrounds. But I must say as well that we're very flexible and open, because our main purpose in attracting young talents is that they have motivation, that they're aligned to our culture and purpose, and that they really have learning agility. And then from a graduate scheme perspective, we're going to have 9 open roles. We're going to have a little bit more details on one of these programs, which is in regulatory, but as well, we have a couple of opportunities in business functions as communications, marketing, and access.
Brilliant. Oh, fantastic. That's a huge range of different schemes that we've got available. So I'm really looking forward to getting those onto the Gradcracker Company Hub in the next few weeks. So just kind of touching upon something that's probably quite, important in Roche's message in the UK at the moment, and also something that's obviously touched all of our lives in the COVID-19 pandemic, because Roche was very involved in the UK's initial response to that, weren't they? So could you tell us a little bit more about what Roche did in that kind of early stages and throughout the pandemic?
Sure. So I guess I'll start from my own experience as an employee. One of the things that Roche did was really guaranteeing safety to us. So meaning that we didn't lay off anyone because of the pandemic, and we maintained business continuity to ensure that all the supplies and tests, medicines, and treatments were available to patients, which was a really big challenge considering all the restrictions and everything that we had to live through. Additionally, we developed new diagnostic tools, so antigen tests, PCRs, and as well, we're starting seeing if some of our medicines could be part of the treatment options for patients, but as well developing entirely new medicines to treat the virus, and as well connecting with the governments and helping them see what was the best way to manage the pandemic in general. So we did try to have a very active role. And at the end, I think that the response of Roche, and specifically, once again, in my perspective, was really making us feel safe, which was something that all of us were really looking forward through those difficult times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, what you were saying earlier about your cancer diagnosis and things like, people in those sort of situations throughout the pandemic were very vulnerable. So having that continuity of medicines is obviously incredibly important to as well. And, Roche being the company to deliver the first COVID test to the NHS and things, it's a really, really great story to kind of talk about. And I'm sure that the treatments that you came up with during that period are going to be beneficial for many, many years to come. So thank you so much, Juliana. We're going to head off to meet the rest of the panel now. So Josie, could you start by telling us where you went to university, what you studied, and what you do at Roche now?
Absolutely, Sophie. So hi, everyone. I'm Josie. So I'm one of the placement students. So technically, I'm still at university. I'm at the University of Birmingham. I'm doing a maths degree. So I'm taking a year out now, and then next September, I'm going to go back, do my final year, and then I'll graduate. So my role at Roche for the year is in the data science department. Which takes in quite a few placement students, I think 8. So that's one of the things that I've enjoyed so much since starting here is I wasn't thrown into it by myself. I was thrown in as one of like 8 of us in the same position. But within that, we all do slightly different things. So some people are on more sort of data quality, data cleaning, data curation. I'm a statistical programmer first and foremost, but I expect to be doing more statistician work as I move on, because there's opportunity for me to have sort of flexibility and pick up what I want and whatnot. But the other, there are placement students in other aspects of, I'm in Welland, the pharmaceutical. And within Welland, there are placement students in informatics, clinical operations. But yeah, I'm in data science. And there are other data science students that haven't just done maths. I work with students that are doing biomedical science, biochemistry, natural science. So that gives you a flavour.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I think that's a good point to make as well, that you kind of think data science, or maybe you do have to come from that maths stats sort of background. But as Juliana said earlier, they're very flexible about, the background that you come from, as long as you've got the right attitude and the right fit for the business. So thank you so much, Josie. We're going to come back in a little while and find out even more details about your role and what you're up to now. But I'm going to head over and say hi to Ruby. So hi, Ruby. Thank you for joining us today. So same questions to you. Where did you go to university? What did you study? And what is your role at Roche?
Yeah, cool. Firstly, thanks for having us today. So I went to the University of Leeds. I did a biological sciences degree. Similar to Josie, between my second and third year, I did a placement year, but I actually worked in pharmaceutical manufacturing. So I kind of was in the end of the life cycle testing pharmaceutical products for microbial contamination. And then I came back to university for a year. I also worked in an NHS COVID testing lab during that time. And then I decided, actually, I want to try something different, and decided, Roche was the place for me. I knew it was an amazing company. And I found the regulatory graduate scheme, thought, yep, that's it, and applied to that. And that's where I am now. So actually next week is my 1-year anniversary of working at Roche.
Happy anniversary.
And yeah, as I said, I work in the regulatory department. So this is the department that collects together all of the information that is created by all the different teams, so clinical, safety, stats, medical affairs, every single function into a package to send that to the health authority, so the FDA in the US or EMA in the EU, ready to try and get approval for this medicine in those areas. Me specifically, I work in a sub-function of regulatory, which is labeling. So I develop not the sticky thing that goes on the bottle, but it's a document that is basically describes the efficacy and the safety and the key points about a drug. So your dosage, your storage, that's all in one of those documents. So part of my role is writing that and then maintaining those for the products.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ruby. That was a great introduction. And as with Josie, we're going to come back to you and find out even more about your role in a few minutes. But Roz, we're going to come over and say hi to you. So you are a regulatory group director and get involved in a number of different things for Roche. So could you tell us a little bit more about your role?
Yes, of course. Hi, so I'm Roz, and as you said, I'm a group director in Roche, and I work in the regulatory function like Ruby. So part of my role is about sort of advising our project teams about the regulatory requirements and guidelines that we have to follow as a pharmaceutical company. Yep. So I get to work with a really broad range of people, from science teams through folks working on safety, through the statisticians, a whole really broad range of teams that we work with. But as well as that sort of piece around drug development, I'm also really privileged to be able to follow my lifelong passion for supporting learning and development. And I have a lot of involvement in things like this, so a lot of early careers activities, also working with TOPRA, which is our regulatory professional organisation, attending similar careers events, supporting people in development and sort of being part of those. Also leading a programme within Roche that allows more experienced staff to take advantage of rotations and to different parts of the organisation, which is really exciting to, really broaden people's roles and experience and really grow people in that way. Also, I'm a team leader, so I do spend a lot of time coaching and supporting staff within the organisation and just helping them along their own development journeys. And that's a key thing at Roche, that we really, each of us is empowered to drive our own career. And so it's a really important part of our own development to coach and be coached. So, that's it from me.
Fantastic. Now, I think that's great to hear, and I know our audience are always very interested in, how am I supported throughout my career? And you're sitting there as the person that is doing that for a number of people, like Ruby on the panel today. So I think that's really nice message to get out there. So thank you so much for that introduction, and we'll be coming back to you in a little while to find out more about your particular group area and what you look for in an ideal candidate for your group. So right now we're going to head over to find out more from Josie and Ruby about life at Roche. So over to you, Carla.
Thank you very much, Sophie. So I'm excited about this one. Josie, I'm going to start with you, my love. So you're currently placement student from Birmingham, studying maths. going into the pharmaceutical sector to do, you know, a placement a year in industry. What made you decide that specific sector? You know, you from a maths background, what kind of made you interested to learn a little bit more about Roche and the specific sector?
Yeah, so I actually I'm at University at Birmingham, but I went to school in Hertfordshire, so close to Welling.
Yeah.
And maybe when I was 17, there was a sort of outreach, because Roche really does care a lot about empowering young people. Their early careers, like, focus is incredible. So there was an outreach thing that some of the local schools are invited to. That's kind of how I got introduced to the company.
Yeah.
And first of all, that day was really incredible, really varied agenda, and we got to speak to lots of people who were working here in all different things. The day was called Generation Next, and everyone seemed passionate and happy and fulfilled in like the work that they were doing, because obviously, unlike working in some other industries, when you're working for this, you are actually like helping sick people at the end of the day. So once that was on my radar, I did speak to some data scientists on that day. I realized, well, I'm good at maths. I like maths. I'm good with numbers. I do like biology and chemistry, but I don't want to be in a lab. And I care at the end of the day about like the healthcare. And it sort of clicked that like data science and pharmaceuticals is actually going to suit me very well. And Roche was already on my radar. So now it comes to, I'm at university, I'm making applications because I really want to do a placement year. I really want to get that experience. I know about Roche, read its website, read more about it on Gradcracker, follow it on LinkedIn, and you really just get a vibe about its patient focus and how driven it is to just like keep outdoing itself. And so from then I worked really hard on the application to get here because that was what's standing out. And then since getting here, the patient focus hasn't gone away. Like whenever we have any speak from the leaders of the company, the community of leaders, like we are doing it for the patients. It's spoken about all the time. And also just like the way that I'm cared for as someone early in my career and like encouraged to keep branching out and doing my best. Is what has solidified it as a great employer for me. But don't worry if you're like, oh, well, that's not what I've wanted to do since I was at sixth form. Like, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, because most of the other students I work with, they were in that position. They've ended up here through just it standing out to them whilst they were applying to all sorts of industries, and now they're here, they're like, okay, I really like it.
Now I've got it. I think that's the benefit of doing something like a placement though, isn't it, that you can it is experience for you and for the employer to get to know you as well. You know, it's a two-way street, isn't it, for you to get all that experience. So I'm going to pick up on you one thing here, which I don't know if you've prepped for this, but you mentioned about a standout application. So you've obviously done a standout application because you sat there on a Gradcracker webinar now. So what would you say? So just cast your mind back. What prep did you do? You know, what things did you include in your application that you think, oh, this made me stand out to Roche?
Yeah. So Roche, as a heads up, if you're wanting to apply to the placement scheme, I think they request a cover letter as well as like an internal application. So I really wanted to get through in the cover letter the things that I'd said about how this really did seem like it combined my interests and my skills well. And they really do value, the recruitment process really do value, like, you actually, this isn't just one of many applications you've made, like they can tell that this is actually something you want. So if you do have passion for the work or for the industry, like, really make sure that comes across. And if you get to the assessment day, you get feedback whether you make it through or not. And some of the positive feedback I got from my assessment day was that like my answers to the interview, like the general competency interview, were prepared and like mature. So I'd say do think through interview answers and like really evaluate all of your experiences in part-time work, and also if you've done group work at university, really think back on times that you've had during that group work at university, plan out, okay, well, think about this time that I actually solved that problem and I helped us get through that issue. Think about it and don't just leave it till the day. That's my advice.
Yeah, I think you've made loads of good points there. That's definitely going to be one of your snippets. And you've definitely made loads of good points there. And especially, I think when students and graduates are applying to opportunities, that they just think about, the work experience, not the life experience as well. Yeah. So like lots of problem solving activities you'll have done as part of your degree at university, but think outside of the box as well. And, just have all of those situations in your mind. So as part of, you're going through your placement year now, when you go back to university, what skill sets do you think you're going to take back with you that you found kind of invaluable to finish off your final year and then go on to a career in this industry? I'm guessing you're very passionate. I think you're going to stay within this industry. That's a definite yes.
Yeah.
I thought
so. Well, definitely. I mean, through working a 9 to 5, there is a structure to it, and there is such a need for time management, which I think it's easy to maybe at university sort of, you have like weeks on and weeks off, and you can kind of pick it up and put it back down. It doesn't always work entirely well. But definitely, I think if I'd just gone straight back into third year, straight back into all those lectures and exams, I would have struggled. I already feel more capable and structured at keeping up, like to apply it back, all the modules at the same time. And to really make the most of your placement year, you've got to get comfortable with speaking to new people and putting yourself out there. Maybe asking for help is a big one, because when you join such a long-standing company that has so many different functions, it is all complicated when you start. You have to get used to asking questions, which in university is a forgotten skill, but you really benefit from speaking to your lecturers for help wherever they're always there. And that's something that and my confidence have already improved. I've been here 3 months. I don't think I mentioned that at the start. But even doing this, I probably wouldn't have done this before.
Can I just make a comment about Josie's? I did a placement year as well, and I remember coming back to university. We were in COVID, and I had one in-person seminar. And I remember I was chatting away, doing whatever. At the end of the seminar, my lecturer comes up to me and says, "Ruby, you are a completely different person." And that is because I grew so much in confidence. And that's what it is, exactly what Josie is saying. You have to ask questions at work. You have to talk to people that you don't really know what their job is. You don't really know what they're doing. They have way more experience. You kind of, you get so much more confident. And I do think that's something that, Josie, you will take away from this year. That's what I took away from the year. And I think that kind of, my lecturer saying that to me, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's amazing to have that confidence. So that's something that I definitely agree with you there, Josie. And the asking questions thing, definitely asking questions thing.
I think that is a hidden skill, because people don't ask questions. And it's just so infuriating, because, I think everybody just should be like a sponge. Because people love to be asked questions, Ros and Juliana, you're sat there smiling and nodding, you think, oh yeah, ask me a question about Rosh, ask me a question. And people love giving the answers, people love showing their skills and all their information that they've got in their brains as well. So perfect. Thank you, Josie.
I think it's one of those things, Carla, as well, that I've noticed is a common theme throughout all of these webinars that we do. The students and grads that we have on these panels obviously have been successful through the application process. They're on working either full-time or on industrial placement, and it's always ask questions. That's how you're going to get the most out of the situation. So I think that's a really key point for anybody watching this. In any placement, internship, graduate job that you go into, ask is the way forward.
You're not meant to know.
No, exactly.
That's why people are there. You know, this is why Ros is there. If you do what you do with the training and development and your leaderships and everything else, this is why we're all here. Every day is a school day. Josie, did you finish off your points that you wanted to make there before we move on to Ruby?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you.
I think she just finished your bit off perfectly.
Sorry, Josie.
Good, no.
That was great.
Very much.
It's a nice little smiley family. Ruby, so let's talk about you. So you've been at Roche for nearly a year. Happy anniversary for next week.
Thank you.
So yeah, why choose Roche in general? You know, why did you study what you studied at university? Tell us all about you.
Yeah, so I think university, why I studied what I studied, I was really interested in disease, really interested. I'm really interested in microorganisms. I'm really interested in the gut. That was just kind of a really natural route for me. And actually, while I was at university, I kind of thought, oh, okay, yeah, I like microbes. I like that kind of thing. So I decided to do a placement year in a pharmaceutical manufacturing lab in their microbiology team, which I did really enjoy, and I learned a massive amount, and it was a really great experience. But I kind of found, I enjoyed the lab, but, was there something else I wanted a bit more? And that kind of thought was kind of ticking over in the back of my head during my final year. So I went back to Leeds to do my final year, and I was thinking, oh, okay, I think I want to go into a lab. The opportunity came up to work in a COVID testing centre. And I did some more lab work and actually decided, you know what, I'm not sure this is for me. I enjoyed it both times when I did it, but I thought, actually, I want something different. I want to be in a situation where I can help people, but I want to be in an environment where I feel really inspired and, there's a lot of innovation. And sorry, Carla, I can see you have.
No, love. I'm just picking every part of your brain possible. So, you were sat there, you've done a couple of different experiences in a lab, whether it's part of your degree or in the COVID testing centre. So for you to turn around and say, yeah, I enjoyed the lab work, but there's something a little bit more out there that I want to experience. Was that a bit of a scary thought process that you had to go through? Do you know, a lot of your peers, were they going lab central and you have to go outside the box a little bit? So were you quite brave amongst your friendship group to do something different?
I definitely felt like that. I really had my eyes pinned on a particular graduate scheme that was in the labs. And there was just one day I remember coming back from when I was working in the COVID testing lab, and don't get me wrong, it was an amazing experience, but I thought, I don't think I want this for my future. And it did scare me and it did worry me. But I kind of thought, you know what, I do want something different. And actually quite a few of my people I know had done placement years at Roche or had worked at Roche, and they too, similar to me, had come back to uni with these amazing experiences, so confident. And I thought, you know what, that is somewhere where I can go and I can make a difference to people's lives, but also make a difference to myself and, have a great career, work with amazing, inspiring people. So, I really had Roche in my head. And then I saw actually advertised on Gradcracker the graduate program for regulatory. I did a bit of reading around regulatory. I really liked how, you were working across the whole of the drug development process. You're working with so many different functions. And it's really, I think, something for me that really made me not so much think about the lab is that I love people. I love talking. That's such a big part of my personality. And I thought, you know what, that actually suits me quite well, I think. So yeah, I applied to that and had went through the application process and was successful. And I think, I remember my boss saying to me, actually, I think when I first started, she said to me, Ruby, that assessment day is so great because at the end of it, you give people jobs and you change their lives. And I thought it was a bit cheesy when she said it. And now a year in, I'm sat here in Switzerland, working with amazing people, being inspired, working on amazing products. And it changes your life, something like this. So, it's incredible. I think me and Josie are great.
I mean, I want to come and work there. So.
Come along. I don't think we're brainy enough to.
No, definitely not. No. But I mean, I think it's so nice, like listening to you two. You are so passionate about what you do. It's such an early stage in your career. And this is the type of people that Roche want to apply to them, people that have really got that passion coming through, really motivated. And I mean, you two are just perfect to kind of show off, what Roche is looking for. So But yeah, I think we're going to dive into finding out more about your actual
I saw that,
roles now.
Josie.
Sorry.
You're making them blush, sir. The blush.
I know. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Do you know what was it? Switzerland, Ruby? So you need to tell us, why are you in Switzerland?
So funny story, this is actually my second time in Switzerland in 2 weeks.
I thought it might be a funny story,
which is a bit crazy. So I've had a couple of opportunities to come out, actually. So I had an opportunity a few months ago to come out to work with a multifunctional team to develop our label, so the product that I work on, the document that I work on, which was great and an amazing experience. I came out here last week because we had a big regulatory team meeting for a different product I work on, and it's amazing because you get to meet your team members, you get to have discussion that sometimes you don't necessarily get to have when you're kind of all in different rooms across the world. And today I'm actually in Basel because as part of my graduate program, I have an opportunity to do a rotation in any department I want. So I'm actually here with PD Data Science, looking at kind of having a taster basically with one of their teams, and kind of getting to know what they're like and what they're doing, and they very kindly invited me out here. So yeah, I've had some really different, really exciting opportunities to come out. So again, that's been really amazing. And I mean, Switzerland is beautiful, so that's been
So,
great.
Just for the audience's benefit, Basel is Roche's global HQ, isn't it? So that's why that's kind of the central place for you to go to.
Yeah.
Ruby, was it half you saying, "Oh, am I allowed?" and I said, "I'm coming," and I'm on that plane, I'm there already.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So Josie, thanks, Ruby. We'll come back to you in just one sec to talk about the team that you're in and your role a little bit more. So Josie, we spoke to you briefly at the beginning just about your position within Roche, what you do, what your team's like. Can you just give us a little bit, more detail on that? And if I was, a student watching the webinar thinking, oh, I want to apply to the Roche placement schemes, kind of a day in the life of, a week in the life of you, what do you get up to on a daily basis? I know you're based in Welling at the moment. Is that what your life is looking like for the year? Do you work from home? Is it a bit hybrid? I'm throwing a lot at you, but just tell me about your day-to-day experiences.
Absolutely. So I am based in Welling, and it's moving us slightly away from this now, just starting in September, but the general ethos here at the office is you can come in if it's what suits you, and you can work at home if it's what suits you. Which the Mondays and Fridays we get a lot of people working at home. Tuesdays and Thursdays have become anchor days, which is when people are encouraged to be here, so you can be actually there with your team on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But since I started, I've basically come in every day. There's been a couple of days where I've worked from home. In my opinion, I can't really beat being here with all the resources and all the other members of my team. I'm like, I get to be in the zone and I get to focus when I'm here. So that's that aspect of it. So my current role is really statistical programming for actual clinical trial data. I think there are opportunities elsewhere in this company. You can do data science that is more from a sort of hindsight analytics, or using extra data or real world data, or developing methodologies. But I am actually analyzing the clinical trials that we're getting from all of the current studies. We have, within that, there are people working in different areas. So you can be late phase or early phase. I'm basically working on early phase. So the studies that I'm on at the moment are phase 1, when they are got less patients. There's more so investigating safety as opposed to efficacy. They don't last very long. Those are the sort of studies I'm working on. And then within that, we've got people working in different therapy areas, different disease areas. My disease area my studies are on is ophthalmology at the moment. So the studies I'm working on are actually about macular degeneration. It's blindness as you age. So that's the summary about that, but sort of the interaction between my roles and the other roles is we have the statisticians on the study. They're making a lot of decisions. They often have master's degrees, and they look at study size and all sorts of things about how we know whether we've been successful on what we're monitoring or not. And then they work with us, the programmers, and we are extracting what it is that they're looking for from the larger data, and we're making data sets and outputs, which is tables, listings, graphs, and it's quite a large community that we all are forming. So programming language wise, most people, the one that most people might have heard of is R, which is a statistical programming language, and we also use SAS. We have been using mostly SAS up until now-ish, and we're trying to move on to more R. But don't worry if you want to apply to this job and you've never done any of those programming languages. I hadn't either. And so I've had lots of training since getting here to know what I need to know. So I suppose if we were thinking of a day in the life, I'm turning up to work at the Welling office. I'm programming and working. I have a manager and a buddy, and they help me lots, make sure I've got enough work, really approachable if I don't know how to program that, can you help me? Where's this error coming from, help me please. But also the placement program here is like very well established. Like there are people who have been working here 20 years, and you say, how did you get into this company? I did a placement year in 2001. So
I love that.
They have lots of when you get here as a placement student, I'm put on newsletter editing committees, meeting organizing committees. There are a few forums that I was basically instantly regularly presenting in, so the teamwork and presenting skills have started like immediately, and through doing that I have just sort of like building up the knowledge of the entire thing. There's a lot to understand about the data flow, but also just about the whole drug development process as a whole. And every day I seem to have understood a bit more about it. But that's
I think as well with getting involved in the committees and the forums and things like that, you are expanding your mind into different teams and how they work and how they interact with each other. And I think that's really important as well. You're not just confined to your own four walls of your own department. You're learning about the other teams available as well. And there's another thing, Josie, about what you said about the benefits of going into the office. And there are a lot of students, again, I think Ruby will agree, Juliana and Roz, I'm sure you'll agree as well. There are so many benefits about going into the work environment. And I know there's a lot of grads and students who are currently thinking about applying to opportunities and thinking, I can work from home. The employer lets me work from home, but I do think you're missing out. I think, the place to be is around your peers, learning, listening to how everything goes on. So I think that is definitely a no-brainer to get into the working environment. Josie, you mentioned that things might change from September. So, Ros, Juliana, what is the situation for next year's intake? Is it kind of a hybrid approach still, or are we changing things around a bit?
So I think the main change is just around trying to get more of that buzz in the office. So reflecting what you've said really is that, yes, we have the sort of, each of us can decide for ourselves where it's best to work on a particular day. But I think really just encouraging people to come into the office to re-establish all of those networks that maybe, weren't so strong when we all had to work at home. And just, it's a really key thing for Roche is for us to build our networks and to get to know all the different functions and areas. So, that's the change really. And I think people coming in, so 2023 intake, I think that's really what you'll see is us really creating a buzz in the office. And as you said, I think it's essential for people early in career to really come to the office and interact and be part of the community.
I agree.
Absolutely. Sorry. And I just think that, working for an organisation, the size of Roche, where you do have the opportunity to communicate with so many different departments and different people and different teams, that, being in the office and being able to take advantage of that is just an amazing opportunity at such an early stage in the career.
Again, though, I mean, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you, so obviously I'm there. But I think just to take a step back, and Ruby, you touched on this when you were at university. Maybe being in lockdown, we're dealing with students now who could have been at university, haven't experienced university life because they have been in lockdown, and then we're all sat here, smiling away, saying, "Oh, get yourself into the office, and it's really beneficial to you." And again, Roz, I think I'm going to come back to you, but anybody can speak. There might be a bit apprehensive, they might be sat there thinking, "Oh my goodness, I'm absolutely terrified." So what do you do? So what does Rosh do as an employer to help these students? How can you kind of guide them or make sure they're going to be okay on their first day, or even attending assessment centres and everything else like that? How would you make them feel okay?
I think
Ruby's straight in there.
sorry. I was just going to say, I think from the get-go, you have a fantastic support network around you. So, I have a line manager, I have a buddy, I have a mentor, I have all of my people I work on my product teams with, and everyone is so approachable and lovely that I think you can be very honest. Also, prior to starting, I think I had 2 or 3 calls with either graduates or my line manager about this. I also think Roche is a company that gives its employees trust, and I think they trust you to make a decision that is best for you. So, for example, if you're feeling a bit anxious about coming in, you could decide to be coming on a Monday or Friday when the office is typically more quiet to start with, and then maybe build it up, or maybe only come in the afternoons when actually it is a bit quieter. So we have that flexibility to kind of do things as is best for how you work. And I think that definitely helps with the COVID situation. I don't know if Roz or Juliana or Josie has anything else to say around that.
I think it's a really great point, Ruby. There's basically a lot of support, and each individual can make a decision based on what's right for them. So as you say, if someone's feeling anxious, maybe they have someone vulnerable that they know, or that they need to be particularly careful, then we can have that discussion and agree what's right for that individual. So and we do see a real range of everybody's different, aren't they? So some people are keen to come into the office, they're really ready for it, and other people aren't. So we do recognise that as well, and the overall aim that we want to get more people into the office to interact, but recognising that each individual has to do what's right for them.
Yeah, and then they have to speak up as well, though. It goes back to asking questions. If you do have certain requirements, or if you are anxious, like Ruby just said, there's mentors out there, there's grads that can call you and everything else. So just make sure you let Rosh know where you are and what you need from them.
Can I just add, because obviously I started only 3 months ago, so it still feels fresh for me, and I just wanted to make the point that the placement scheme works so that when you start, you sort of have a counterpart student who started at the same time last year as like an overlap, because it's 13 months as opposed to 12. So anything, I didn't feel like I'd just been sort of thrown into this huge company. I had this literal counterpart buddy who had been in the exact same position a year before, who approximately my age, so felt really easy to approach. And you see like how much they've flourished in their year and how absolutely respected they are and not treated like a student, how much they've accomplished, and like all of them, and you just start to feel like, well, if they did in a year, there's no reason I can't. And like my buddy, my counterpart who had the overlap with me, was absolutely lovely. Gets you involved in all the social aspects that you might not be thinking about, and you get to sit with her when I came into the office. So in terms of confidence in starting, that was a huge help. So if you're thinking about the placement program, it will probably be the same for you.
Good point, Josie. So I'm just going to ask, shall I just ask Ruby about her current role?
I was hoping you might.
See, we've flipped seats now, so it's normally me who's just like chairing these webinars, going, who's in that? And now I'm just like having a right jolly. Ruby, 3. So I know, again, touched on your role at the beginning, so tell us a little bit more and about your team as well, please.
So as we've kind of mentioned, Ros and I sit in the same big function, regulatory, but I sit in the labelling team. So what we do is we create something, a document that is our company position on a molecule. So that includes the key efficacy and safety information about a molecule, and also, you know, dosage administration, storage. And our role, really, we're involved in the whole drug development process. So we'll start quite early on, and we'll kind of speak to the development teams and say, okay, what do we want to get in our documents or our label? What do we want to achieve? And then we can direct kind of the clinical trials from that, which is really exciting, right up into, you know, actually writing it and then sending it to the health authority. And something that I really love about my role is what I write is the only patient-facing regulatory document. So patients actually see what I'm doing. And I think, you know, something that I love about my job is that I think, okay, if I, you know, apply my skills and my expertise to write this in a certain way, one more patient might be able to use this, or one more patient might be able to use this more easily, or there'll be less error. You know, that is a really, really rewarding part of my job. Something that is also great in my role is that I get to work with people all across the world. So loads of different countries, loads of different health authorities working on their label is really, really cool. So I absolutely love that side of it. And yeah, just kind of, I think the thing that is so great about this role is that there is so much variety. You know, I work across quite a lot of products in different therapeutic areas. You know, some days I'll be working on you know, something quite early on in development, but sometimes I'll be working on something that is quite an established product. My role is so varied. You know, it's a cliche for people to say no day is the same, but really no day is the same. And I think similarly to Josie, as graduates, you know, we're really given the opportunity to get involved in loads of different activities. So like forums, writing bulletins, you know, buddying new graduates, getting involved in site-specific activities. That is just so much to do. And you know, I think I was actually having a call with the new graduate in our team the other day, and I was talking and I was thinking, wow, I actually know loads of stuff. I've actually learned loads in my year. So yeah, I think my job is very varied, but it's mainly kind of writing and maintaining that key regulatory document.
You don't know how much you know, do you? And you tell other people, you think, whoa, I know loads.
I think it's really interesting, that, Ruby, because I don't think I would have expected a graduate to be doing that sort of level of detail. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility from a very early stage in the career to be writing these documents in, you know, really complicated language and really complicated science, to then, you know, like you said, educate the general public and make it more effective and safe. So I really don't think I would have expected that to be, you know, in a graduate and have that opportunity at such an early stage. That's really interesting. I think we have so much support from the graduate scheme. Like, I can't even describe how much, you know, support we are given, and there's always someone to turn to. But on the flip side, we're also given trust and responsibility. So that does also really make you enthusiastic about your job and really make you work hard. So yeah, it's very exciting. Thank you so much, Ruby. Right, Ros, I'm going to jump over to you to find out a little bit more about the other roles in regulatory, because I know obviously Ruby's role was one aspect of it, but if you could give us an overview of what other things graduates and students could get involved in your group.
Yes, of course. So as Ruby said, you know, the regulatory function is really huge and varied. And just to give you a feel for it, we have 1,000 people worldwide in our regulatory function. So, you know, it's really huge. So you know, broadly, as Ruby said, we offer support right through the development of projects. So like offering strategic advice in terms of development, right through to submitting applications to run clinical trials in various countries, and then finally through to actually getting a product onto the market and submitting the applications to regulatory agencies for that. So there are loads of different opportunities for people with all sorts of different skills and talents. So things like Ruby focuses on the labeling. We have opportunities for folks to focus on the writing of regulatory documents. Also folks that manage communications with other teams and with the science colleagues and really look at the strategic side of things. Kind of more project management roles and planning the pathway to get our medicines to patients. There's opportunities around supporting clinical trials and gathering data as Ruby does, also the support of the labelling and connecting with health authorities. So there's really a whole range of things that our graduates could get involved in.
That's fantastic, and that's such a wide range of skills just from those schemes. From the strategy to the the really scientific element of it. For graduates watching this today, there's really is something for everyone just in that one area of Roche. Never mind the rest of the business that some of which we've heard about today. So that's really great to hear, Roz. I know, as you mentioned at the beginning, you also get involved in the early career side of things. So if you could sort of pick the ideal candidate out of a hat, other than obviously Ruby and Josie that are here today, what sort of skills would you be looking for?
So I think, at Roche, we really want to look for a diverse range of people. So I wouldn't want to say there's one specific type of person, because I think we recognise that having lots of different types of people is really valuable and really brings creativity to our teams and the way that we do things. So I think, like most folks in regulatory, but not all, will have some sort of degree in life sciences or pharmaceutical sciences or a related area. But again, it does depend on which function you're in. But in general, that's where we, that's the sort of background we look for. But I think more than that, and I think this was probably alluded to earlier by Juliana, we are looking for people that match the Roche values. So they're really passionate, like Josie and Ruby, you can really see how passionate they are about what they do. That they have integrity and really think about the right thing to do for patients and for the development programs. And also like courage to just try new things, to do something different, to really think outside of the box and be creative. So those are the qualities that we look for. And I was interested, Josie mentioned about, we do ask for a cover letter, and that what I really look for is what's motivating someone to be at Roche. What's, not what have they done necessarily, but what's their sort of purpose to get up in the morning, and why would they do that at Roche? What would motivate them? And that, I really do look at a cover letter for that, and that's what makes someone stand out.
I think that's a really good point. I think it's getting the passion across, isn't it? Tell me why you want to work here, and what makes you get up in the morning. And I think it's quite refreshing to hear as well, because quite often when we talk to people, recruiters, and people can be quite focused on technical skills and expressing that you match what the job needs, but maybe we can forget about actually you do need to be passionate as well, and show that through your initial application. So thank you so much for that, Roz. I'm going to head back to you, Juliana. So just off the back of what Roz was saying, is there anything else that you would say? I know, because obviously we were just speaking more specifically about regulatory there, but does that kind of go across the board for Roche when you're looking at applications coming in?
Yes. So let me give you a little bit of tips and tricks that I think are useful in general. And I would say the first and foremost, which anybody can say that it's basic, is really reading the job description of what you're going to apply for. Because I guess that sometimes we just feel, okay, I want this company and I'm just going to go ahead and apply. But it's very important for you to really understand what's the role, what's the purpose, why is Roche hiring for this concrete department area? Because that is what's going to give you the input to really be competitive when you apply or you send your CV. Another thing, I guess, and I know that when you're starting to look for a job, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of commitment, because any different companies might need different things. So you need to be really mindful of what each particular company is looking for. And Another thing is assessment centers and interviews. When you're the first time you're going to do them, obviously you're scared and you're nervous, and we know that. So we're not expecting you to really not having those anxiety while you're presenting or whatever. That's okay. And I guess my best advice there is just be your true self. Like show yourself as you are. And when you do that, you're a lot more fresh and you're able to really show what you can bring back to Roche. So in general, that's what we look for. We're not looking for experts. We're not looking for the best technical skills. We're looking for people that really are genuine in the way they present themselves to us.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's really nice to hear. And, you know, it's great for the students to, you know, you want them to be themselves. And I think it's difficult because obviously students are going to be very nervous and graduates are going to be nervous during the recruitment process, but it's better for them and for you as a business to know them, the real them, before they start working for you. So I think that's a really good point. Quickly, Juliana, could you just give us an overview of the actual recruitment process? So what steps do the students need to go through to apply and then be successful at the end?
Sure. So I guess that as we have in our hub, we're going to start and kick off our recruitment cycle, meaning that we already have some posts out, but in the next upcoming weeks, we're going to have all the placements and all the graduate schemes. After getting out, we're going to receive applications. This is going to last around a month or so that you are patient on receiving a response from us, because we want obviously to get out and to have enough people applying. So this would take around a month and a half, sometimes even 2 months. Then what is going to happen is that the recruitment team is going to go through CVs and through cover letters. So be sure to read carefully what you need to submit as documents, CV. Some positions might not ask for a cover letter. So it's key to really go through the things that are needed for the application. And afterwards, then it's a joint work between the program managers and recruitment to really go through the CVs and decide who are going to make it to the next stage, which generally will be a video interview, which I know might sound scary as well, but basically how it works is that you have a couple of questions and then you would have around 30 seconds to 1 minute to respond to them. Those questions are mainly based on motivation, on the why, on why Roche, on why this department or this role. So just to get to know you a little bit better than just on your CV and cover letter. And from this, we will then once again filter candidates that will go to an assessment center. In an assessment center, basically what we do is measure both soft skills. So there's going to be something that you can do individually or as a group. We just want to see you in action. So in action, meaning how do you communicate? How do you engage with other people? How you are an active listener to what others need to share, and just to see you like in a day-to-day interaction, because generally when you're in a company, you work in teams. So seeing how that works. And then with this, you're going to have a panel of people observing you. Once again, I know this is scary, but these people are there as well to get to know you. So once again, be curious. So ask questions. Well, that's key in an assessment because that shows you're interested in being part of it and on getting more information. And as well, be sure that you include all the other people in assessment too, like all the other candidates. And afterwards, I guess sometimes we will have an interview, or even with the assessment, it would be enough for us to make a final decision, meaning that we are going to send offers around January, February, so that we can have you onboarded between June, July, and September, depending on the program. We try to give you information throughout the whole recruitment process as well, so that we can manage expectations and time.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That's a really thorough overview of what students can expect. And I think it's nice for them to understand what happens behind the scenes as well. Like you were saying about, you know, this is why it might take this amount of time. We're sifting, we're going through everything. So that's brilliant. And like we said, the roles are going to be live on the Gradcracker Company Hub in the next few weeks. So make sure you follow them, be alerted, or go there straight away and apply to the regulatory group roles that are live right now. I'm going to finish with a really quick fire round.
Yes, I was wondering if we were going to be allowed to do this.
No, we're going to do one. So I just want to run round all of you and just ask, what is your favourite thing about working at Roche? And I'll start with you, Juliana.
So for me, is being able to balance my willingness to grow professionally with my personal dreams and my personal life.
Fantastic. And Ruby?
I think for me, it's working with inspiring people.
Oh, perfect. And Josie?
For me, it's being despite being a student and being new, being respected and being trusted with impactful work.
Brilliant. And Roz?
Is that
Well, aside from the falafels that they serve in the canteen, which are legendary.
Oh, I like a good falafel.
I just think the diversity of people that I get to work with, people from all backgrounds, from all countries, just love that interaction with so many different types of people.
Perfect.
I think we've got time for an interesting fact, sir. I think we have.
Okay, Carla's pushing me. Finally, if you could all give me a cool or interesting fact about Roche. So again, coming back to you, Juliana, what's your cool or interesting fact?
So for me, it would be that even if I'm from another region, because I'm originally from Colombia, regardless of who you are welcomed.
Oh, that's a nice fact.
That's a nice one. Ruby?
My fact is that this year we celebrated our 125-year anniversary.
Yeah. Wow. Long history.
I thought you were going to say something about disease there, Ruby. Oh, juicy.
I'll save it for another day.
Yes. Another webinar.
Josie, coming to you.
My fun fact is that today in Welling is Live Well Day, and there's been lots of paint by numbers, colouring in, playing with Lego, a cool reflex game. I got to wear a headband and move a ball with my mind, and there was some garden stuff. And then later is Family and Friends Day, and everyone's bringing their kids and their family.
Oh, how lovely. That sounds so great.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Love that.
Next year, me and Surf are coming to that.
Yeah, we're coming to that.
Head on down.
I'm heading there later with my daughter. Really looking forward to it. It's a great thing. Yes. Yeah.
Go on, Roz.
Oh, my cool fact. So 16.4 million people were treated with Roche medicines in 2021. So massive.
Wow. 16.4 million.
Yeah.
That just gives you the scale and the scope of what a company like Roche can do and achieve. It's just mind blowing, isn't it?
And you can be part of it.
So thank you all so much for giving us such an amazing insight into Roche today. It really has been fascinating for me, and I'm sure for our audience listening as well, to hear about the different areas of the business that you can work in and the experiences that you and Ruby and Josie have had so far. I nearly called you Rosie then. It's been really great to hear that, and I think you two have been beautiful ambassadors for Roche today. And
amazing.
You really have shown how passionate you are about what you do, and given a real insight into your day-to-day lives. So I'm sure there's going to be hundreds of students heading to the Roche Hub now to get their applications in. So the recording of this webinar will be available for you to watch tomorrow on the Roche Company Hub and in the Gradcracker Career Centre, as always, but also then break this up into kind of key chunks and highlights for some of the kind of key guidance that we've talked through today as well. So remember, our employers absolutely love it when you tell them that you've watched their webinar, as they know that means you'll already have a really good understanding of their company, and it shows you've got a real interest. And given what we've heard today, that is so important in an application to Roche. So make sure you head to their company hub, start following or get your applications in straight away, and let them know that you've attended this webinar. Next week we have 2 webinars, so it's a busy week for Carla. Carla and Jessica are going to be joined by Mercedes F1 on Monday and SSE on Thursday, so you can register your interest to attend both webinars in the Gradcracker Career Centre. Once again, thank you to Juliana, Ruby, Roz and Josie from Roche. It's been so lovely and such a valuable insight for our audience into working for you. So thank you all again so much, and see everybody later. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Thanks.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.